Hey guys, Brian here from Better Chess Training, and today I wanted to show you my round 4 game from the Rating Harvest tournament in Cleveland, Ohio that I played recently. And up to this point in the tournament, I have been doing okay. My first round game, I was able to draw someone rated 2000. My second round, I lost against a master. My third round was a little disappointing as I had a drawn, maybe slightly better uh, knight and pawn endgame, which I ended up blundering and losing against someone rated 1900. So this was the last round in the tournament, and I was playing something rated about 1750. So let's get right into it. The game starts off with e4. I'm playing the black pieces. Uh, e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, bishop to c4. Now, many of you might play bishop to c5, but here I play the two knights defense, which I know many of you play as well. And I've been playing this for a little while, and I really enjoy it. And as we get into this, you're going to see that black, the knight to g5 variation, I'm going to be playing where I sacrifice a pawn, which is probably the most popular line, I guess, right now, which is d5. E takes d5, knight to a5, hitting the bishop, bishop to b5 check, c6, d takes c6, and b takes c6. So black has sacrificed a pawn, but the general idea is that um, these minor pieces are going to get pushed back, and black is going to have a lead in development. There's a few ways to respond to this, which I'll go over quickly. Probably um, at the amateur level, bishop to d3 is probably the most popular, uh, and that is what was played in the game. But the most popular at master level is bishop to e2. And here we see this h6 pushing this knight back, knight to f3, e4, knight to e5, and bishop to d6. I won't go too much further into that line, but the whole idea, you could see that black is getting this lead in development, which is almost full compensation for the pawn, I think. Okay, going back here. The other line is queen to f3 with this pin on this pawn. But again, it's a similar concept where black will get a nice lead in development. And one line here is bishop takes c6 check, knight takes c6, queen takes c6, winning another pawn. But you can see here after bishop to d7 that black has a very nice lead in development. And after queen to f3 and castles, we can see that black's compensation for the pawn is pretty clear here. You can see that these pieces, the development is way behind. But my opponent played bishop to d3. Again, a fine move, and theoretically pretty much equal to the others. And the main move here is knight to d5, but I've been working on uh, another response, which is knight to g6. Okay, and we can see the three main responses are knight to h3, knight to e4, and knight to f3. My opponent plays knight to f3, which is pretty much the most natural, but it's also good for black, and it allows black quite a bit of initiative. And we'll see what happens here in the game. F5 is played, of course, now threatening e4. And uh, there's only one master game here in recent history in my database, and that where h3 is played. Um, and in that game, knight takes f2, king takes f2, and then actually bishop to c5 was played. But I would think that e4 is also okay. But uh, in my game, my opponent my opponent castled right away and trying to get his king to safety, and maybe with the threat here of rook to e1. So here I played e4, and then my opponent was depending on this counterattack. And here I didn't play the best move, but I think I played a decent move. Um, I could have just dropped back, and then this pin would have been maintained. But the problem I saw with this was that white now has moves like rook to e1, pinning the pawn, which make it a little more lively. Although later analysis with the engine shows that this would have been fine after bishop to e7. White would result in having to, do some shenanigans, which would be hard to find over the board. b4, deflecting the bishop, and then dropping this one back, and then castling. He does end up saving his pieces, but you can see here again that the development of white, you can see all of his pieces on the back row, gets a little bit muddled, and I have this nice pawn phalanx here in the center. Okay, but in the game, let's see here, in the game, let's go find where we are here. I decided to just take here on d3. And I was ready for, rook to e1 check, for example, just bishop to e7, and then I'm going to castle on the next turn. So I think I felt fine with that. And let's see here. Instead, my opponent takes on g4, which allows me to take back, attacking the knight. And then the knight here goes to e5. Now, analysis will show later, although I could, again, see this being very difficult to find over the board. This was a rapid game with a game in 30 with a 5-second delay. And the engine likes knight to c3. And basically, white will get compensation here because now he'll be able to get his development going. But, again, I think this would be a little more difficult to find over the board. Okay, so knight to e5 seems like a natural move. And here, actually, unfortunately, it is a mistake. And this is where the game goes from just slightly better for black to winning. So go ahead and actually pause the video and see if you can find the ideas of what I played next. Okay, well, the ideas that here is really why I wanted to share this video. And it's to show you the importance of development and the importance of time, as well as some attacking patterns and ideas. And here I played bishop to d6. Of course, the direct attack on the knight, but more importantly, we could see that the king side here is becoming devoid of defenders, and so we have a lot of ideas here. And so hopefully you found bishop to d6, and hopefully you found some of the lines that are coming next, because this is where I actually spent a little bit of time calculation, and I pretty much saw that this was almost a forced win here. Rook to e1 is played, and hopefully you saw that the next move here is just to castle, because now the king is safe, and look at all of these pieces that are about to come in. Okay. C takes d3. By the way, I had calculated this. Knight takes d3, and here it's pretty devastating. Queen to h4, and I calculated g3, and here it's pretty much a forced mate. Okay, king to h1, and here the most efficient mate is bishop to b7. But my thought here was just to do king to h3 check, king to g1, and then I was going to play g3, which this actually isn't a, white can get out of an immediate mate here with queen to e2, but this is still pretty dangerous overall. Let me just show you a couple of lines here. Queen to h4, knight to c3, bishop to g4, queen to g2, and here bishop to f3 with queen to h2 check coming, depending on what happens next. So pretty bad for white. Let's go back to the game. But that's one of the lines I saw in the actual calculation before when I played bishop to d6. But my opponent instead plays c takes d3. Depending on the fact that this knight is protected, but uh, it's still not a great position. So go ahead again and pause the video, and you may have calculated this already, but see what you can find for black now. Okay, well, here there's a few good moves, but you can attack here with queen to h4. I think you can also do, well, the engine's saying you could also do queen to b6, but I like my idea, which is queen to f6. Of course, with a double attack on the knight, as well as this check on f2. By the way, there's one variation that I didn't show you earlier that I think was important to see here. After bishop to d6, I know I'm jumping back a little bit. One variation is this, knight to g4. And here, the idea here is queen to h4 is going to win this back. White gets a check and he can play here. Here also, what I'd actually planned in the game was to castle first, and then go with queen to h4, or depending on what white did. Okay, those themes are important to remember as well, so I wanted to make sure I showed you. Okay, getting back to the game, queen to f6, and here, black, it's he's going to lose a piece most likely, but here he plays queen to e2, and bishop takes e5, queen takes e5, and of course queen to f2 check. So here you can probably see the ending. King to h1, queen to h4 check, king to g1, and this is an easy one, but go ahead and take a few seconds and try to find what ended the game, the final move of the game. Well, here I simply played g3, and now checkmate is unavoidable, and here my opponent resigned. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. And I thought it was pretty instructive in terms of playing with the initiative and concepts of tempo and time, as well as some nice attacking patterns. When you play an opening like the two knights defense with either white or black, it's very kind of important to study the lines after you play them, because a lot of these lines are forcing. And although it should lead to about an even position at the end of them, it's important to know, because there's a lot of mistakes that can be made along the way if you just make natural moves without knowing further down the line the tactics. So with that in mind, thank you for watching the video. And if you're not subscribed already, hit the button down below. And if you enjoy watching videos of my games, here's another one over there. Anyways, have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.